Money moves before the December groove. What a way to enter December! There's all this excitement in the air. Like you can smell it in the air. But no, man, something is happening. Something is going on. Welcome to Blackbullion South Africa's final webinar for 2025 Money Moves Before the December Groove. My name is Takealot and I'm part of the Blackbullion South Africa team, and I will be your host this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Drop me a message in the chat box and let me know, where are you tuning in from? Where are you right now? Represent your location. Let us know in the chat. And today's webinar is really, really interesting. It's all about leveling up your money decisions before December hits, right? So before we get into, the middle of December, when things start to, get a little bit crazy. So all the December moves, the money moves you need to make before things get crazy. And then, of course, we've got the January struggles. So I've invited two of our Blackbullion ambassadors and the modern financial advisor to share their insights, their stories, their real life experiences. We'll even play a game during the course of this webinar. There's so much to look forward to. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm going to get into the chat and just quickly see where people are currently joining us from. There's about 150 people right now in the chat watching us. Let's see. Amanda says, I'm all the way in Pietermaritzburg. Nonjabulo says, I'm in Midrand. Let's see. Pilasande says, Pietermaritzburg again. Makude says, Groblersdal. Hey, we've got people from all over the show here. Edrati says, Kagiso in Krugersdorp. Temberger says, Empangeni. Kabisile says, Sabisa. Priya says, I'm all the way in Durban. Durban, stand up. Zanele also from Durban as well. Pumlani from Durban. So we've got people from everywhere, literally from everywhere for today's webinar. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And of course, we are all about young people and getting you guys money smart. So if you haven't heard about Blackbullion, it's a youth-centric digital learning platform that delivers amazing content. If you want to learn about money, get onto the Blackbullion platform. You can scan the QR code that's currently on the screen if you'd like to get free access. And of course, we'll also share the link in the chat. Completely free. It's what we do on a day-to-day basis, just getting you guys to build a relationship with your money. So what's on the menu for today's webinar? What are we doing on today's webinar? A couple of things. We're going to give away some goodies, right? So there'll be some goodies that we're going to give away during the course of the session. We'll be introducing our amazing guest speakers. We'll be playing a game of 7 December money myths. Ooh-wee. You're going to hear these myths. They're coming up. We're going to talk a bit about January. We're going to talk about setting money boundaries with family. I mean, I find December gets a bit tricky with family. Sometimes there's some expectations that don't really make sense. They don't balance, right? We'll talk a bit about what to do if you are lucky enough to get a bonus. We'll have a Q&A session with our guests. We'll be announcing some winners. We'll be crowning our Finlit champion for 2025. We'll also be crowning our 2025 partner of the year. And then, Saivala, we close down the webinar. And that will be it for 2025. So much to look forward to. Talking about winning, right? So I'm feeling generous, right? So I want to give away some Checkers vouchers, 3 vouchers valued at $100 each. And all you need to do is one of 3 things. Engage in the chat box, follow us on social media, ask questions and share your thoughts in the chat. The more you engage, the greater your chance of winning, right? So 3 Checkers vouchers are on the line at the moment. So much to look forward to. So we did say that one of the things that you need to do is follow us on social media, and we happen to be everywhere. So we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, we are on TikTok. You can even email us. We're on Instagram. We are everywhere. Do find us in terms of that. Social media is where you can find us. So, as I mentioned earlier on, I've got an amazing panel of 3 women, absolutely amazing. I'm going to be bringing them onto the screen very, very soon. We've got our modern financial advisor, Umpo. We had it the last time. We went on a little bit of a date. if you guys remember correctly. We'll be hanging out with Daisy, one of the Black Bullion ambassador, one of my faves, and of course another one of my faves, Takealot, who also happens to be a Black Bullion ambassador. Got an interesting mix of young women here to guide us on some of the crazy things that we tend to do with money in December. So I'm going to bring them onto the screen. Shout out to you, Mpo. Shout out to you, Daisy. And of course, shout out to you. I'm going to bring them onto the screen. Yes, let them enter. Let them enter. Alrighty, they're coming onto the
Hello.
screen. Hello, 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 ladies. You
Hello,
guys good? You guys good?
Temple. We amazing.
Hi.
Well, I'm good.
Hello.
It's my birth month. It's so I'm happy.
Ah, man, it seems like everybody's in the vibe. Everybody's good. Some people, it's their birth month. Lots of beautiful things happening. So, we've got a really interesting discussion today. December, money moves before the December groove. It's something that I was thinking about. So, we're going to play a little bit of a game, right? It's a very, very simple game. We're actually going to just bring it onto the screen so that other people know what the rules of the game are, right? Very, very simple, right? But before we get into the rules of the game, we normally do a random money question. I'm going to pose this question to our three guests, but you in the chat, you also have an opportunity to add something, right? To engage, to share. I want to know from you guys, what's that one money move you wish you made this year, but you didn't? Like you're looking back and you're like, hey, if only I did the right thing, but you didn't. So get into the chat, let us know. What's that one money move you wish you made this year, but you didn't? Paul, I'm going to go first with you. What's that one money move?
Well, for me, I think it's I don't know if it's one money move or if it's just a series of decisions that I kept making. Because this year I went independent, I started my company, the Modern Financial Advisor. And I think the one money move I wish I made was to set out my goal for my business and what I want to achieve for the end at the end of the year, and actually not invest every single cent that I earn from my 9 to 5 into my company, So things like looking for funding, getting sponsors and stuff like that. I think I was of the idea that, because I'm starting off, so when I get funders or when I get sponsors, there has to be some sort of capital that I already have in place. I have to have like everything looking good. I have to have my website in place. My social media must look good. Everything must look good. But then actually, I was tapping into funds that are not even meant for building this business now. It's like every cent that comes in goes into the business. But well, it paid up. But then it's still not where I wanted to be. But then the one lesson that I also learned is that when you are starting a business or when you're starting something new, you just have to go with it, and um,
Yeah.
you don't have to have everything in place before you can go live. So that I never made.
Nah, 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 that makes sense. That makes sense. I get you.
Yeah.
Putting all your money into your business, into your passion. I completely get that. Daisy, to you, what's that one money move you should have made, but you didn't? Daisy, can you hear us?
Yes, now I can hear you. Sorry, my network was a bit laggy. Um, yes, I think I agree in terms of the goals, like having clear goal, because I think now I'm realizing that there's so many things that I want to do in December, but had I put away that money earlier, then I'd be able to do things. So it's kind of like my activities are limited to what I was actually able to save and what I can beg and borrow from family members at this point. So I think really just like sitting down and saying, okay, this is how I want my December to look like, and working towards that throughout the year, because now it's like, yo, that ice cream, you could have saved that 15 rand. Now you could be having it with friends, you could be going out. And now it's like, oh, now my activities are limited. So really, I think just planning it and having like a clear structure.
Yeah, I get you. I get you for sure, for sure. Carlo, I don't know if you're there. I know you're having some connectivity issues. What's that one money move you hope to have made and you didn't? Can you hear us there, Takalo? All right. When we get Takalo back, I want to go read some comments because I see there's lots going on. Um, So let's see. Colin says buying a car. All righty. So some big things, some big things. Amanda says saving for graduation. There's the crying emojis there. She's crying there. Hey. Priya says putting money into a fixed deposit. Wee. Tabile says saving from the beginning of the year. Yeah, that consistency of saving can always be so difficult for a lot of people. Pelelani says saving for Lobola. Hey, is that relationship gonna survive December now? Because you're supposed to save the money for the cows. Let's see what some other comments are saying. Apile says, I wish I started investing from a young age. So not even looking at this year, just straight from the womb. Something should have been saved, right? So lots of saving, lots of investing seems to be coming up, right? Okay, lots of saving, lots of investing seems to be coming up. Alrighty, so while we get Dakalo back on it, we're going to keep going. And as soon as she's back, we're going to get her to answer our questions. So for the two ladies that we have, we're going to play a game of 7 December money myths. It's a very, very simple game to play, right? This is the game. I've got 7 December money myths, right? So it's things that I've heard, things that I've seen, things that I've done myself. 7 of these myths, right? They're going to come onto the screen. And I want us to sort of try and debunk these myths, right? So as the myth comes onto the screen, I want to know from our speakers, right? Do they agree with the myth? Do they disagree with the myth? Or do they think the myth is complicated, right? And if all of the participants agree or disagree on something, we move on. But if one of us doesn't agree or disagree, or one of us says it's complicated, then we need to discuss it. We need to figure out what's going on. Why are we not on the same page together? So, ladies, you've got the rules. Right. So, the ladies have got the rules. Everybody else has got the rules. Everybody that's watching the webinar, get into the chat. You're also part of the game. I want to know from you guys. So, ladies, this is the first myth coming on. The first myth is this: December shopping tends to be cheaper because of all the sales. So there's all types of sales, hey, 2 for 1, hey, this. And sometimes the thinking is that December shopping tends to be cheaper because of all the sales. So want to know from Mpo, Daisy, I want you guys to give me a sign. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Do you think it's maybe a little bit complicated? Right? So on the chat, get onto the chat, let us know. December shopping tends to be cheaper because of all the sales. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or do you think it's complicated? So seems everybody's saying it's false. Everybody's saying it's false. Let me go and see in the chat if people are agreeing that it's false or people are saying that it's true. So disagree, 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 disagree. Very false. It seems we're all on the same page. So it seems that we're very, very smart. We can see when something isn't really on sale, right? But some people fall for the sales, right? So we've got the first one right. We all seem to be on the same page. We're going to get on to the second one. And I think it's a really interesting one. This is the myth. Black tax increases automatically in December. I don't know automatically why, but for whatever reason, black tax increases automatically in December. Something that I've heard, right? So for those that are joining us online, get into the chat. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think it's complicated? What is it going to be? What is it going to be? Let me get into the chat real quick. Let me get into the chat before I come to my speakers. So I see people saying true, true, agreeing. I see a few complicated as well, right? I see a complicated from Daisy as well. I'm going to wait for the other two ladies as well. I think it's a little bit complicated, to be quite honest with you, but I'm seeing people saying complicated. So because one of us has already said it's complicated, Daisy, I'm going to start with you, right? I want to get a sense from you why you think it's complicated. And those that are saying it's complicated as well in the chat, get into the chat, let us know. So, Daisy, why do you think it's complicated?
Honestly, I think it depends from like which family you come from because black tax doesn't apply to every family. But obviously it depends on your background. But I think what makes it complicated is the relationship that you have with each member of the family. So perhaps your mother and your father have certain expectations, then you've got cousins, then you've got nephews. For example, now I have a nephew, and sometimes he magically thinks every time I come back home, there's something in my bag. He's got to have something, and I always have money. So I think it's that thing of like how people relate to you also depends to like it almost causes them to have a specific way in which they expect you would spend on them. So yeah, I think it's very complicated depending on the relationships that you have with people.
Ah, I completely agree with you. Mpo, do you also agree that it's complicated? We're going through this myth of black tax increases automatically in December. There's a lot of complicated. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree, especially for people who are in Johannesburg and have to go back to like, their homes in other provinces, or you're from a township or from a rural area somewhere, and then you came to Johannesburg to work. Because I think, especially in Black communities, there's that illusion that if you go to Johannesburg and you have a job in Johannesburg, you are rich. So when you come home in December, everybody has sort of made plans around your money. And I will agree with Daisy as well to say not every household or not everybody gets to experience black tax, because for those who actually come from wealthy families, or people who come from families where everybody is okay, they don't really have like interdependence, or they come from a background where when you go back to your village, even the villagers are happy that you are coming, and everybody has sort of made plans around your money, then it becomes a bit complicated. And I think also just setting those boundaries as well. There's an element of respect as well to the elders, to say, when that uncle asks for a six pack or a bottle of whiskey or a bottle of brandy, out of respect, you always tend to want to say, okay, cool, uncle, I'll get it for you. But then, you didn't even really budget for this. So yeah, the black tax situation can be quite tricky if you're a Joburger going home.
It can be so tricky. And I think we're gonna discuss it later on. You know, the fact that when you do go home, there's some expectations when you come home, and you now need to have these awkward conversations. And hopefully, you two can guide us on how do we start those conversations. And lots of positive feedback, lots of people agreeing with what you guys saying that it's so complicated, and people now planning budgeting on you, which is absolutely horrible. So everybody seems to be agreeing with you guys, and lots of comments, some saying it's not complicated, some saying it is complicated. And the fact that people are not agreeing tells you that it's very, very complicated. So we're going to get into number three, right? So this is number three. Saving money during the festive season is impossible. It's not difficult. It's not hard. It's impossible. So, those that are watching, get into the chat. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is it complicated? I'm going to ask our two speakers. They're saying it's false. False, false. I'm going to come into the chat. Yeah, it's impossible. Some are saying it's definitely impossible. Saying false, false. It's absolutely true. So it seems like in the chat, people aren't agreeing. But here, the speakers are agreeing. We've got a bit of an issue here. Paul, maybe you can help us here. Is it impossible? Because people are literally fighting. If people could just bamba each other with washings in the chats, they would. Paul, is it really impossible to save?
Yeah. No, it's not impossible to save in December. So I think the one thing that we need to remember, and we just need to like have it in our minds all the time, is that December is a normal month like any other month. The only difference is that obviously there's a lot of holidays, we are tired, we're spending time with family, there's all the festivities happening, but the money rules should still apply, especially if you are getting a bonus in December, because for people who actually get a bonus in December, you have no excuse in January why you would be broke. So what do I mean by the money rules? The money rules, it's the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your salary still goes towards your fixed expenses or your needs. 30% goes towards your want and your variable expenses. The one mistake that people tend to make, I saw someone in the chat said they regret not saving money for December. Because if you know that you are a December person, you like to gift your family, um, you want to have friend mass, you want to have Christmas with the family, you want to have Christmas with your colleagues and all of that, then this is money that you should have been saving throughout the year. You had 11 months to do that. So now when December comes, it shouldn't be a matter of, oh, I'm getting my bonus, so I'm going to spend my bonus buying gifts and engaging in all the festivities when you've saved money throughout the year, right? So the reason I'm saying it's not impossible to save during December is that when your December salary comes, the rules will still apply. In fact, your festive spend should not even depend on the salary that you're going to get, because that one, the cycle just continues as it is with the money that you've been saving in the 11 months.
Yeah, no, I definitely get you. Daisy, are you able to save in the month of December? How's your bank balance looking at the moment?
I would say my bank balance it was at a critical. It was very tempting to just start splurging money. But then, like Mpo said, it's just like another month. So the money rules do apply. So just carefully like planning each spend. So I know that December, obviously the outings increase, the time, you've got more time to do a lot of things. So just having that weekly budget instead of like a monthly one is just helping a lot. Just putting a cap on my weekly spend. I think that's keeping my bank balance is critical, but it's there. It's stable enough to get through the month, to get through the month of December. So yeah, just with a little more careful planning and more conservative spending, then I think we should safely survive December.
Yeah, I'm going to read a couple of chats. Jojo says, I cannot save during the festive season. I love alcohol and groove way too much. Muhale says, complicated because you've started saving with the intention, then costs come up out of nowhere and plans are made. And that is where the issues begin because you start putting your hand inside the cookie jar. What I'm reading and what I'm getting from Daisy and Impo is that it's all about discipline. Like it's December is exactly the same as June and July and January. It's still a month. But I think it's about discipline, which I know Mpo had mentioned as well. And Daisy also mentions about the discipline and keeping to your goals, right? I think that's the really important thing. But it seems most of us seem to be struggling during this particular month. We're going to get into the next one, right? So the next myth says this: December. This is when Stockfell money disappears. That's why I will never join one. They don't really work. So we know around this period of time, there'll be people crying there on social media. Hey, Tepo, who was the one collecting the money, he's disappeared. Where's Tepo? I'm then Mauritius, walking around with my stomach. There I'm on the beach. I'm eating people's money. So, want to know from you guys in the chat? December, this is when Stockfell money disappears. That's why I will never join one. They don't really work. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or maybe you think it's complicated, right? So, Daisy, Mpo, do you guys have an answer for me? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or do you guys think it's a little bit complicated? So, while they're getting everything up, I'm seeing complicated. So it's one that we need to talk about. Okay. Let me see the chats. In the chats, complicated. Bulelo says, I disagree. They absolutely work. All right. So Abigail says it's very, very complicated. Ribochile, so it's very, very complicated. Alrighty. Daisy, I'm going to start with you. Why do you say it's complicated?
I think it depends on the people who set up the stock file to begin with. I think it goes back to the boundaries. So sometimes I think when you don't have people who are trustworthy, that's when things fall apart. So I think it goes back to how each person individually, like how their relationship with money is, because then that will be a reflection not of the group, but then how the stock felt, like the outcome of it. So I think if it's people who are disciplined, then honestly, December is going to be a joyous thing for them. Like everything is just going to work out. But if it's people without discipline, it's literally a disaster waiting to happen. And we all know that a lot of friendships get divided by money. So this is really like the breaking point. So yeah, I think it depends on the fundamentals of the people in the stock file, not so much that stock files don't work, because they do, if the right structures are put in place.
Now, I agree with you. It comes down to the people that are part of the stokvel, and I guess the person who's collecting the money. What is their character? Who are they? Mpo, do you agree with that? That it isn't really the structure of a stokvel that works. It's the people that are the problem within the actual stokvel itself. Mpo, can you hear us? Oh, we seem to have lost it, but I'm going to get into the chat, Daisy, and I'll read some of the things that people are saying with regards to this. Rotondwa says, bank stock files are better, and one can also do fixed saving with complete no access until withdrawal. So basically saying, look, let me put my money into a savings account where it's locked up, nobody can touch it. I'd rather just do it on my own. Nobushe says, it depends on which group you decided to do a stock file with. You cannot associate yourself with crooks and expect everything to go well. And once again, it goes to what Daisy was saying. It's about who is actually part of the actual stokvel itself. Who's within it? Emike says it's complicated. Some people can be trustworthy and others not really so. So it depends on the people that you're doing the stokvel with. So I didn't mention this earlier on, but when we did a random money question around one of the things I wished I'd done with my money, there's a stokvel that I was supposed to join. I didn't join it. And now they're splitting the money. I'm not there. I'm not part of it. So I think the types of people that are in your stokvel is important. The discipline of it is important as well. And having rules, because once the money's in the account and people can sort of see the interest, things start to change. It becomes very, very difficult. But Daisy, me and you were on the same page, and it seems everybody else is agreeing as well. So while we get to pull back, we're going to get on to the next one, right? So this is the next one. You can't groove on a budget in December. You have to spend money to have fun. Hooey, it's tricky. So I'll read it again. You can't groove on a budget in December. You have to spend money in order to have fun. Get into the chat. Let me know. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is it complicated? It's groove. Can you really do it on a budget? You can't. Man. When the pop bottles, it's December, but it isn't about me. Daisy, you're saying it's completely false. I want to see how many people in the chat actually agree with you. Notando says I completely disagree. KMMCB says true, true, true. I agree. You need a budget. Apelile says I disagree. Lindy, we completely disagree. Amanda says it's false. Kamukhelo disagree. Abulele disagree as well. Nontle says I completely think this one is false. So once again, it's split. Some are saying it's true. Some are saying it's not true. I guess, Daisy, it also depends on what your definition of having fun is, because I know certain people where they can only have fun if money's being spent, but there's other people that can just be chilling and playing a board game. So does it come down to what your fun actually is? Daisy, did you get me? Paul also saying it's
No, my network. I think my network cut.
Paul, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Tebo. I'm back
So
now.
you said false. I know Daisy also said false as well. Since we have you back,
Yeah.
so you're saying it's false. What are your reasons? I don't know if our definition of groove is the actual problem here. Because for some, just having a board game and
Yeah.
chilling with friends makes sense. But for some people, there isn't fun if money wasn't spent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. Actually, this makes me think of my cousins and I every time we go out, and I have one particular cousin who, after a few tequilas, she'll be like, "Ah, we'll deal with tomorrow's problems tomorrow," and I'm just like, ma'am, okay, cool. Me, I will drink, because you are the one who's spending. It's okay. And then the next morning, she'll be calling all of us to be like, "But guys, how did you spend so much money? I just looked at my banking app, and how did you spend so much money?" We're like, "Yeah, you were very excited in the moment." So what we then started doing, when we go out, we'll check where exactly we want to go. Because actually, Tepo, when you say that, your definition of groove is actually important, because chilling at home, playing 30 seconds, having food and drink can be another person's definition of of groove, but other people will want to go to a second location after that, right? So now the problem starts when the second location comes, because I feel like when you are chilling at home, everything is okay. You buying drinks from Checkers, Tops, wherever you buying your drinks from. But then the moment you now go to a second location, it's different prices. So you need to decide where are you going, and then if you all agree on a place, go on the internet, look at the menu, look at the drinks that you're going to have, because a lot of the places don't really allow you to bring your drinks. But if you actually find a place that allows you to bring your drinks, like even better. So I'll then say, check the menu, look at what you gotta drink, how long you're planning on staying there. And sometimes people only just look at the drinks, but then at like midnight you're like, I actually want to have that midnight snack. You're feeling a bit hungry. Now we must pay like 500 for a platter, or you want to get food. So look at everything that you know you will want when you go to Groove. If you know that at midnight you want to have a bit of a snack, then put money aside for that as well. If you're going as a group, if you're traveling as a group, use one Uber. If you are all around the same area as well, let's use one Uber so that you don't have to call different Ubers, and you can actually save money on that. But for people who are splurgers, or people who are like my cousin who will get to the venue and be like, "Oh, it's okay, I'll buy everybody shots," I would say set a limit on your bank app or on your card for how much you can actually swipe in a day. Because I know it's difficult when you are in the moment and you're like, ah, you only live once. Let me just, get this bottle of champagne. Especially when you go to those places that people will be buying expensive bottles of Viv, and that energy sort of gets hot spotted to you. But you don't actually have that budget, or you have that money in your account, but then it's not for group, it's for something else. So you end up tapping into money that you're not supposed to be tapping into. So I would advise that you would rather withdraw cash, go with the cash that you have budgeted for that particular place for your drinks and your food and your Uber, and use McDonald's after McDonald's after the whole thing, because there's also that stop at McDonald's afterwards. Then take your card where you have like savings that you can transfer into your main account, because that's where things actually go wrong. Leave your bank card at home. Um, Withdraw enough cash and then take it to group.
Yeah, I think we definitely got you there. And I know we're struggling a bit with your connection, but I think you summarized it nice. Just giving one or two tips in terms of if we are going out, how do we spend money without really breaking the bank? So things like, are we all Ubering together? How are we getting there? Whose car are we going with? Whose car are we putting petrol into? Are we eating before we're going out? When we get there, what are we actually buying? Planning and being smart with where you go. Is the entrance fee? Isn't the entrance fee? Where can we go where we can have fun but not necessarily break the bank? And I think those are some of the tips that came through. I want to read some of the comments that have also come through as well. Lots of people saying really interesting things as well. Kiara says, even if you can just go to the beach, right, with the right people, you will have fun. Exactly. I agree with you. You don't always have to spend a lot of money, but if you're with the right people and you go to the right places, you can still have fun. Karabo says, don't surprise yourself at a restaurant. Yo. Apiwa says, these issues feel like they come from cultures and where we live, right? So sometimes based on where you live, what the environment is like, that can also impact on what your definition of growth is. First thing says, you need to learn what your priorities are. You expect to spend more money on alcohol than food, than more than other important things. When planning your budget, groove should be the last priority. So lots and lots of comments around groove. My take is this: we should have fun in December, but don't break the budget. Tomorrow is still coming. January is still coming. So just be a little bit smart with your money. So while we get all the connections right, we're going to get on to the next one. And I'm going to need you in the chat to show up, to share all your information. This is it. Everyone overspends in December. It's normal. Want to know from you guys, do you agree? Do you disagree? Is it complicated? Everyone spends in December and it's normal. So, Tsapa, why are you stressed? What was stress? So let's see what people are going to be saying real quickly in the chat. Everyone overspends in December. It's a normal thing. Not just saying I completely disagree. Leonardo says it's definitely true for sure. Priya says I agree. Tabile says it's very, very complicated, actually. So some people saying it's a little bit complicated, the December thing. Colin says you can groove on a budget, on a budget. It just takes discipline and creativity. So going back to the groove stuff. But everyone overspends in December. True, false, agree, disagree, think it's complicated. I'm keen to read some of your comments. It looks like to me, most people seem to be disagreeing. That's the feeling that I'm getting from some of these comments. But yeah, seems it's a little bit of a 50-50. Everyone overspends in December, it's normal. I think we've over glamorized December. We've made December too important, and we've made it okay to not spend money properly. We've made it okay to be reckless with money in December, and I don't think that's a good thing. Personally, that's my thinking, right? So we're going to get on to the next one, number 7. And I'm going to be reading some of yours. We've come to the last myth. I need to buy expensive Christmas gift for my friends and family to show love. Now, we sort of spoke a bit about this with Daisy and Impo earlier on. Number 7, I need to buy expensive Christmas gifts for my friends and family to show love. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think it's complicated? Keen to see your chats. I'm going to see if we've got Mpo saying it's definitely false. We're going to wait to see when Daisy's connection kicks in. Other people saying false, 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 totally disagree. Nope, it does not need to be expensive. I've got this. I'm going to say 2 things. I've got a cousin who I know the value of the gift determines if you love her or not. So now in December, it's not the person you're going to buy a roll on. No, for perfume, very expensive perfume. That's what she wants. That to her tells her that you care about her, you're thinking about her, right? But then we figured out a really smart thing in our family. We do, you know that thing where everybody buys everybody a gift, but there's a budget. The budget is 150. If the gift doesn't fit in 150, sorry for you. And last year somebody bought somebody else cornflakes. It's a gift. It's a gift, right? Mpo, over to you. You said false to this myth. I need to buy expensive Christmas gifts for my friends and family to show love. What happens
Yeah.
in your household, Mpo?
Well, it's so funny because 2, 3 years ago, I was exactly like your cousin. So I also had to learn until I had to buy a gift for someone who, those people that only wear designer. So, I'm just gonna let you in guys a little bit of my personal life. And I needed to buy him a gift. And every time he buys me a gift, I needed to buy him a gift. And every time he buys me gifts, he would get like the right gifts. So now I'm like, I can't even buy Nike or Adidas. And then I realized that, it's really not about the price or, how much the gift actually costs. But I had to look at what does this person actually need. So he was someone who told me that he needed a gift for his mom. travels a lot, and every time I would travel with him, I'd always see him drinking water from like, a can of Coke, an empty can of Coke. And I'm like, why are you doing that? So I then decided to get him a travel mug, because I then noticed that, okay, there's a need for a travel mug here, because he, sometimes he'll be dashing in the car and doing all those weird things in the car. I'm like, okay, there's a need for a mug. So this can be an expensive gift. And I went and got him a mug. And just to add an extra touch on it, I got it personalized and I added his name on it. And when I gave it to him, he was so happy because he was like, you know what? I've actually never received such a sentimental gift. And I hardly receive gifts from people that I date. So the fact that you got this for me and I actually need a travel mug means a lot. So my mindset then started shifting from gifts, and I then also started opening up to sentimental gifts, because trust me, I was like your cousin 2 years ago. I was like, I need to know how much this thing is. So yeah,
No, I
definitely
completely agree.
is a time to show love, and the best way to show love to your loved ones is actually getting sentimental gifts that when they look at it, it means more than just the monetary value of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Daisy, what are your thoughts? Because I think Compose is basically saying the gift doesn't necessarily need to be expensive, but it does need to be thoughtful. Because sometimes you could give somebody a very expensive gift, but it's a really horrible gift. It doesn't. It's not necessarily a great gift. What are your thoughts on that as well?
So I would say I agree with Paul. And the reason is because my friends and I think for the past 4 years or so, what we do is we almost do like a collective gift for like each friend, like per birthday. So one person will be in charge of finding out what is this person's wish list. Then we all come together and then we put our heads together to say, okay, what is the most important thing? What can each person get? What is the most meaningful thing out of this? What do they really need? And then after we've done that, I think it just helps reduce like the stress of feeling that, oh, one person's gift will outperform someone else. And I think that's the problem. When it comes to gift giving, it's almost like for some people, it's almost like a show off kind of thing where we want to show how much we love you by how much we spend on you, which is not necessarily true. So I think just having that mentality again, sentiment over like how much you actually spend, is so much more important. And it's honestly saved us money. Like again, the Secret Santa setting a budget for that and saying you can't spend more than this. I think it produces a lot of financial pressure for people, and it just makes it more enjoyable, more fun. And yeah.
Nah, completely agree with you. And it seems a lot of people in the chat also do the same. So I'm going to read a couple of messages. Lulo says it must come from a place of love, talking about the gift itself. That mentality that people believe it's a must for it to be expensive just doesn't make sense. Kiara says, I disagree. Family should feel love by your actions, not necessarily your gifts. Olile says, no, I disagree. The value of the gift actually matters. It matters. I want to know what is the value of this gift. Geja says, I will give you the most precious gift, and that's my time. It should be enough. Mandisa says, you can never even buy them chippies. They will appreciate it whether they like it or not. It's the thought that counts. And one more from Sino saying, complicated. Some families expect gifts, others don't care about them at all. Your budget matters. Buying expensive gifts while struggling financially isn't love, it's pressure. Some people express love through quality time, service, or words. No money involved. The meaning of a gift comes from intention, not the price tag. Absolutely love that one. Um, and I guess when I go through all the seven myths, what I'm seeing is that this is a time of a lot of pressure. So I think discipline, knowing who you are, setting boundaries, knowing why you are doing the things you're doing is super, super important. And that's what I tend to be getting from a lot of the comments. So very interesting in terms of those seven myths that we've gone through. And now I just want to share our thoughts a little bit, right? So we know that at the end of these 31 days, there is a very long month. It's almost like 3 months in 1 month called January. And every time people struggle, every time we see people eating cabbage after cabbage after cabbage, sometimes they add a bit of pepper just to make the cabbage a little bit sexier. It's always the same thing. And so, what I want to find out from some of our guests is, why do we treat January like it's a month? It's a month. We don't just treat it like a normal month. We always go crazy in December, and then it affects January. And then we act surprised when we have responsibilities. So this issue of January, what I want to know from some of you guys in the chat, what are you doing right now so that you don't suffer in January? That's the question. What are you doing right now so that you don't suffer in January? That's what I want to know from you guys. Those tips and tricks. What are you doing right now so that you don't suffer in January? So I'm going to ask Daisy and Paul for them to share, but I'd like for you guys to get into the chat. What are you doing right now so that you don't suffer in January? Tips and tricks, ideas, thoughts. I'm keen to hear from you guys. Tabile says, by avoiding reckless spending in December and planning for January in advance. So it's all about planning in advance. One of the tricks that I do is I've already calculated what some of my expenses for January are, and I've put them in a separate account, an account that I cannot touch, so that I know when January comes, I've already put the money aside. Really put the money aside, right? Litabo says a really great thing. Don't be too spontaneous. You want to be too romantic. You want to be too much of a mystery. Oh, so interesting. Mandisa says cabbage is healthier than meat. It doesn't deserve this bad PR. I agree. I agree, Mandisa. I agree. But during January, it gets such bad PR. Daisy, what are your thoughts? What are you doing so that January isn't a complete disaster? Then I'll bring it to you, Mpo.
I think I agree with a lot of the stuff that people are mentioning in the chat. So the first thing for me is honestly staying at home. When I don't have a reason to be out, I will not go out because the minute I step outside of my house, it's like everything just I just want to spend, I want to own everything, I want to buy everything, and it just splurge, splurge, splurge because the temptations, the signs, the trends, everything is there. So if and when possible, I do stay at home. And another thing, again, like you mentioned, Tepo, just knowing my expenses for January. So I've already planned ahead. So I've kind of got the figures, the key figures that I need to have in order to make it through Jan, and just putting money towards that, even in December, is just going to help so much more. So yeah.
Completely agree with you. Mpo, what are your thoughts? I mean, what do we do so that January isn't such a big disaster? I know you're having some connectivity issues, and I do apologize to everybody that's joining us on the webinar. Mpo, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so in terms of
Can you
preparing
hear
for
me?
January, yeah, we can hear you. In terms of preparing for January, making sure it's not such a disaster, what should we be thinking about?
Yeah. I totally agree with the cure for every single myth that we just went through, the overspending, and I think for me, I'll speak for myself personally, because December is normally a time where I get to, read some of the books that I didn't get to read throughout the year. It's a time where I get to, focus on upskilling myself, doing some of the short courses that I never really get the time to do during the year, because, I work in such a fast paced space. When the weekend comes, it's like, oh, it's only 48 hours and there's so much that needs to be done. So I normally just take December for myself just to like wind down, finish reading all the books that I bought throughout the year, because I'll be buying books and, reading 3 chapters and then not really finishing them. So I think, in terms of having fun as well, you can be creative in the ways that you can have fun without breaking the bank. Because people think that, for you to have a good December, you need to have a glamorous Instagram, be seen checking in at, a new restaurant that just launched, being seen going to traveling to Cape Town. I mean, I fell into the peer pressure of Cape Town last December, and I said never again because my friend was just saying to me, "Let's go to Cape Town. Let's go to Cape Town." I mean, like I want to experience December in Cape Town, but I'm like never again because Cape Town is so expensive in December. So these are some of the lessons that I've learned to say if there's anything that you didn't plan for, don't make last minute decisions because you're just going with the vibe, or you just living in the moment, because now the consequences of living in the moment will come in January, where you don't have money to pay school fees, you don't have money to go back to work, you don't have money just to survive and get the basic needs, your daily basic needs. So staying at home and not being out when you don't have to. And I need you guys to hear me right. Don't go out when you don't need to, because that's where you actually tend to spend money that you didn't budget for. If you have plans of going on holiday with your family, with your friends, know exactly how much you're going to be spending there, especially if you're going to another country. Because the other part that I feel like we didn't address is the traveling during December, because a lot of people only get the time to travel during the holidays. So if you are going outside of the country, know when their festive season is. It's nice if you go to a country that's not like so festive during December, or that has an even lighter currency than our currency. Look at those things. Look at how much food, alcohol costs in those particular countries that you'll be visiting. And if you were traveling locally, like I've already shared my Cape Town experience, I think if I go to Cape Town in the middle of the year, um, average price of an Airbnb is like 900 rands per day. But if you go in December, it goes from 900 to 6,000 rands per day. That's how bad it really gets. Dining out, booking a table, you have to pay like
Mm.
10,000 just to book a table, because you want to be at that specific location in Camps Bay. So look at those things. If that was your plan, like I said earlier, if you had planned to be in Cape Town in December, then you should have put the money aside throughout the year. So anything else that you didn't plan for, anything that's going to make you go outside of the boundaries of your 50-30-20 rule, then it shouldn't really be done. So be creative in terms of your fun, the time that you spend with your family. You don't always have to be out at an expensive restaurant just to have a good time with your loved ones.
Nah, that makes sense. I think you and Daisy were spot on, and I see Cape Town is catching so much smoke. Lindy says peer pressure. Yeah, Cape Town. Goodness me. Appeal says yo, Cape Town can be so
Sorry.
expensive. Sunday says we're buying food in bulk.
Yeah.
Abigail says the way I'm so stingy, I don't see myself overspending on anything. So lots and lots of comments around some of these myths and some of the things that we've shared. I want to see if there's any questions from those that are joining the webinar. If you do have a burning money question, you've got a comment. I'm getting to the chat. I will put that question to Daisy and Mpo. So while people are busy typing their questions, I do want to go back to something we touched on very quickly while we get some of those questions. So, it's December, you're going home. How do you set money boundaries with family during the festive season without causing drama? Because I know it's a question that will come in the chat, so I'm sort of preempting it. Mpo, how do we go about having these boundaries with family without it becoming a big thing? And of course, those that do have questions do get into the chat. But Mpo, what are your thoughts on setting the boundaries for this period?
Yeah. So I come from a very big family. And we are very close, and we all like December time. We know that Christmas, my birthday is in December. There's a lot of birthdays in December as well, so there's a lot of festivities that happen, in the family. So it might be a toxic way, and please don't laugh at this one, but I already, by October, November, when I speak to my cousins and my family members, I'm already complaining about how broke I am. And I'd be like, you know what, guys, I am so broke. I actually don't have money. I don't even know what I'm going to do for my birthday this year, so that in their minds that, okay, she's going through something financially. So when I come to them and say, guys, I won't be able to contribute 5,000 rands towards Christmas, I can do 1,000 rands, then they already know that, okay, shame, she's been saying that she's going through a lot financially. So I think having those conversations with your family members before that, um, planning for me is a big part of um, my execution in terms of how I spend my money. So my mom knows. She'll come to me in the middle of the month and be like, oh, I just saw this thing, it's on special, this and that. And I'm like, we didn't discuss it last month. So when I sent you money, it wasn't part of the things that we discussed. So if it's not really urgent, then I think it can wait for the next month. And it could be a difficult conversation for many of us to have with our families, because there's some sort of an expectation that if you're a child and you're the one who's working, especially if you're a breadwinner, then you should be able to help your family members. But I always say to my clients that setting boundaries with your family doesn't really need to, it doesn't have to be harsh. It doesn't really have to break the relationship, because many of us are scared that if we say no to certain requests from our family members, then we are then breaking that relationship with them when you are not. So get your family used to the fact that you have a plan, you budget, and you stick to that. I know that, when they'll gossip about you and be like, oh, Utebo is so stingy. But then actually you're not. You are willing to help financially, but then I'm not really going to jump into things that I don't know about. And if there's nothing pressing at that moment for you to cough out money that you didn't budget for, then it doesn't really need to happen. So I had to train my mom on this, and now she knows. And when she needs something, or if she feels like her walls now need to be painted, she needs to tell me how much this thing is, and I'll give her the time to say, okay, I can afford to do this in 3 months. Then she knows that, okay, in 3 months time I can paint my house, instead of painting immediately because builders has a paint special. So, and when it comes to um boundaries with friends as well, because we always talk about the families, but then there's also boundaries with friends. And with friends it's very tricky, because if you're going home, you're gonna meet your friends from back home. The other one is in Durban, the other one is in Cape Town, you from Joburg, you from, you're all coming from different areas, and it's a time to sort of show and flex that, oh, I got a new car this year. I bought a new house. I got this and that. I just bought myself the latest Apple Watch. I just bought myself the latest iPhone. That is also, you also need to start having those conversations with your friends. And I also do that with my friends now, to say, friend, are we doing Cape Town this year? I'll be like, oh, the way I'm so broke, I'm going back to school next year, so I don't think I can do Cape Town. So that they know that when they plan, they either counting me out of the plans, or we are doing something cheaper that can also accommodate them. So I think in our friend groups, you must be known that you are the money savvy one. So they must approach you with
Yeah,
caution.
no, that definitely makes sense. Daisy, I've actually got a question for you here. It comes from Garabo. How can we save without procrastinating? So I know you big on saving. How did you get it right in terms of putting your money away? Because a lot of us say, I'm going to, and never actually get into doing it. How did you get it right?
I would say I got it right by getting it wrong. I remember standing in a queue and needing to pay for something, and I did not have enough money. I literally put that thing back and I had to walk out of the shop. And then I think that was for me that turning point that, like, no, you need to be better, you need to do better. So then that's when I actually started a savings account. So I know a lot of people ask, like, when's the perfect time to actually start saving? Like, which day, which month, like, when in your life? for me, that was the turning point, because also I didn't want to go to my mom like, hey, can you just like spot me now? Because then that's putting someone else in financial pressure because of your own mistakes. So I think for me, it was literally like a streak of getting it wrong and getting to the point where it's like, you can't continue like this. And then putting away those 20 rands, that 50 rand, that 11 rand, however much I have that I don't need to spend, just chucking it in a fixed savings account and just letting it accumulate. So it doesn't have to be something that feels like, oh, this is such a burden, but literally just 5 rand. Sometimes I'll just throw it into my fixed savings account, just to get into the habit of actually learning to put money away.
Yeah, I love the thing that you're saying around getting into the habit of it. And important, it seems saving is a big thing in the chat. Lindo says, which is better? Saving money in a bank, so having a bank account, or putting the money somewhere into like a savings jar or into some sort of piggy bank. I'm assuming this has to do with a little bit of temptation and discipline. But Paul, what would you say? Which tends to be better?
Um, okay, I always get this question. And when I save, or when I speak to my clients rather who are looking to start saving and don't know where to start, you need to be clear with why you are saving, right? And you need to be clear with your goals. You have long term savings goals and there's short term savings goals. Or rather, there's long term, there's medium term, and then you have your short term. So your short term savings goals can go, or your short term savings can go into like easy access to the money, and you can withdraw that money at any time. That can also be used as an emergency fund. And then your short to medium term savings, then you can look at investment, or you look at something that can lock in the money for maybe a minimum period of a year. And then when you are now looking at your long-term investment or your long-term savings, then you're looking at something that's going to lock you in for a period of 5 years. And then you're looking at something that's going to lock you in for a period of 5 years. And then also say you need to do an analysis and analyze, what are your savings needs? What are you saving for? Am I saving for December? Okay, cool. That means in January, I'm going to put my money in a 7 day or in a 32 week period. That means in January, I'm going to put my money in a 7 day or in a 32 week period. And then if you just started working and you want to put your money in the next year or two, then maybe let's look at putting the money into a unit trust or into a TFSA. And then in 5 years' time, someone in the comment section said they didn't save mali lobo. I'm going to marry this one. Maybe let me give myself 5 years to put money aside for a lobola. Then you look at an investment tool or investment platform that can lock you in for 5 years if that's what you need. So it's not really about which one is good, which one is best, which one has good interest rates, or which one can yield more interest. It's what your risk appetite is as well, because people will want to. I'll get a lot of clients coming to me saying, I want to invest in stocks, I want to invest in this, I want to invest offshore, but do you actually have the risk appetite to invest your money in an extremely volatile fund? If you are investing offshore, are you willing to gamble with your money and leave your money long enough in that investment? So it varies.
Nah, that definitely makes sense. And I think it answers quite a number of questions in the chat. I know Amanda specifically had a question around, how can I avoid withdrawing from my savings when facing financial difficulties? That's why we have something called an emergency fund that you dip into when things are going wrong. So the why you're saving and how long you're saving for is quite important, which I think is what Mpo is talking a bit about. So big shout out to you, Daisy. Thank you so much, Mpo, for sharing all of your knowledge, your insights, your experiences, being so open, honest, and of course, being so absolutely amazing. All right, so we're gonna get into the winner's circle. I saw somebody saying, "Candy, where are the vouchers? We've got them. Don't stress. Got you covered. Don't stress." So we've got the three vouchers. These were the categories. One, most active in the chat box. Number two, the top follower in terms of all of our social media, so people that were following us. And then number 3, best question or opinion. So a drum roll, please. So our first winner is Lungelo Nxele. Big shout out to you. We'll be popping you an email with your voucher. A big shout out to Violet Mbali. Big shout out to you as well. And of course, a big shout out to Wilma Zirubwa, who's also won that voucher. So big shout out to these 3. But guess what? The winner's circle continues, right? Big shout out to those 3. So those who are on the Black Bullion platform, they've been going through the content, reading articles, going around and utilizing the tools, watching the videos and going through the pathways. This is our Finland champion for 2025. A big shout out to Teboho Tonke, who has won a Takealot voucher valued at $400. Big shout out to that person. Big shout out to them for being the most engaged on the Black Bullion platform. And of course, this wouldn't be possible if we didn't have amazing partners. And of course, our biggest, most amazing partner for 2025 is the Mashal program. I know a lot of young people from the Mashal program are actually part of the webinar today. A big shout out to Mashal for being our partner of the year for 2025. But guess what? There's still a chance to win even more vouchers. Very, very simple. If you are a current Black Bullion SA user, you've logged on, you've registered, you've read articles, we'd love for you to share your feedback on, how are you enjoying the platform? How can we make the platform a little bit better? So go complete the survey and you could win yourself a voucher as well. So we've got Takealot vouchers, we've got Mr. D vouchers, we've got Mr. Price vouchers, we've got Uber vouchers. Goodness me, we've got so many vouchers. So scan the QR code, click on the link if you are a Black Bullion SA user. And if you're not, earlier on I did share a link so that you do become part of the family. So lots and lots of goodies. And of course, that brings us to the end of the webinar. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for following us on social media. Thank you so much to our speakers who were absolutely amazing. I know there were issues with connectivity, but when they shared, they definitely shared. Have a fantastic December. Please be safe. Please take care of your money. It's only 31 days. Guys, please take care of your money. That brings us to the end of this webinar and the last one for 2025. Big shout out to you guys for joining us.